Good morning, Warriors! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well today. This is September 16th, 2022, and it is going to be a great day today as usual, and hope you guys are on your plan. Once again, thank you guys for all the comments. I'm reading through a bunch of comments. I wanted to do a video this morning on a great comment last night, actually, by Francisco Vicente, I believe the viewer's name is, and thank you as a shout out for that. So we're going to kind of focus on that a little bit, but thank you for all the the comments, the likes, subscriptions. Please do and keep doing that, and I'll try to get to them as I get along as well. This one kind of popped out to me, and I think the Lord was saying go ahead and kind of talk about this one a little bit. So what Francisco is mentioning here and talking about is the fact that he said as you go longer with semen retention, you're basically kind of breaking the circle down more and eliminating a lot more of the noise in your life. And I think that's a very good point, very astute, Francisco. I believe that you're making a very perceptive and astute point here. Let's kind of talk about this a little bit as we talk about semen retention, because I think it is worthwhile to focus on this a little bit. So, when you look at life overall, and you look at all the things that you've done, what happens is that we accumulate a bunch of different ideas, things, activities, behaviors over the years, whether it's family, relationships, jobs, any kind of hobbies, things like that. And just like when you accumulate things the same way, you end up potentially having too many things. I guess they call this a hoarder when it comes to material things, right? You have lots of things in your life, and you have a lot of clutter. I always talk to my students about eliminating the clutter in your life, not just physically, I mean going in and obviously cleaning up your closet, but also mentally. Get away from all the negative sayers, downers, all the people in your life that bring you down. Get away from those people and focus on the people who are winners, who bring you up, who make you feel good about yourself, those type of things. And that's your choice to be put with other people. Now, sometimes when it comes to family members who are like that, you don't have a lot of choice. Obviously, you stay in a family, but you want to kind of reduce that impact that person has on you. So we look at this then, as we have accumulated all these things in our life, we have a lot of clutter. We have a lot of noise. And one of those things certainly is the retention and releasing of energy. As you're releasing energy more, you're becoming weaker, and so now you're creating actually more clutter in your life as well. And I think Storyline was talking about that too, that it is a realization once you do this, as you lose energy, you become more anxious, you become more depressed, you don't feel as strong, and so now all these other things bother you more, and so you accumulate a lot more stress and clutter. Cortisone, whatever you want to call this is something that can hurt you very much physically and mentally. So as you increase your losing your energy and giving your energy away, your level of stress increases. This is what at least I experienced. And because of that, then you have a lot more of things in your life that you're worried about, and now you have a lot more clutter. One of the things that I noticed, and I think this is where Francisco is 100% right. One of the things I noticed is that as I'm on my streak, and I'm at 832 days, I believe it is, and 72 days of monk mode, one of the things I've noticed on that streak is the idea that I'm not as stressed out. I'm more at peace with things. And what's happened is that my circle of stress, my circle of things in my life have decreased. I don't have as much importance in those things as I used to. And I think that's because I'm actually getting closer to the Lord as you do this. This is my opinion. And as you do this more, you end up becoming closer, so these things around you in the world are not as important. You become more of a spiritual being, I believe, with this, because you become the person you should be originally, if not for all the temptation and all the influences around you that make you lose your energy and become weaker as a man. And so I think as you hold on to the energy, your wants and needs, they change a lot, and you don't have that same circle. Your circle becomes smaller and smaller. And what happens as well, because of that, then you eliminate all the bad influences on your circle. And Francisco calls it noise. I agree that noise is a great word for this. Noise is something that happens to break the communication up. I talk about in communication class all the time about the physical and the psychological noise. We're talking about psychological noise here more than anything else. And what ends up happening is that you tend to focus on something and letting those things bother you. And those things happen because you're stressed out, because you have a lot of anxiety and things like that. And all those things happen to you because you're at a weak point. See, I think we go back to this whole retention idea. The reason why this is important is because you're keeping nutrients in yourself, and you are focusing more on your well-being and control. And the more control you have from within, the more you can control things outside. So here again, what you're doing is you're controlling things more on the outside because you have control on the inside. And now you can make choices. You can eliminate those type of things that I call clutter in your life, and you're able to focus on just the things that are important. So along with that, because retention focuses on the allows you to focus better on goals and things like that, you eliminate all these worthless types of energy suckers around you. And this is the key, and this is why what Francisco is saying is very, very important to think about. Because the noise is created by people who want you to do things, whether they want you to buy products, whether they want you to give up your energy for them. All these things, you're going to see that. You're going to see it in the behavior of jealousy, temptation, because they don't understand why you're able to control yourself, while all these other thirsty men are sitting there and they can't control themselves, and they just let themselves go, and they're going more into down the deep hole and more into the abyss as they go on. And you're basically kind of standing up and saying, no, I'm a different type person. I'm a real man. I'm not one of these simp men who basically are beta males. And that's kind of, I guess, the best word I can call that type of thing. That person is not a real man. And not that they're a bad person, and not that they can't change, but they're just in that habit of thinking in those terms, and they're allowing others to kind of control their behavior because they can't control themselves. So a person can't control themselves, they're not going to be able to control any situation around them. And that's why what you have to do is kind of learn how to start with seeing retention, and then that will broaden out to other types of things like diets and other addictions you might have that you can overcome. And as you do that, you become stronger and you eliminate all those people. It's a funny thing, when you start eliminating things and you're becoming stronger, your sphere of people around you, the circle around you, becomes smaller and smaller, because you're not really focusing on all these people anymore. You're focusing on people that can help you or work with you to achieve the goals and work with you under the Lord. And obviously with the Lord, you don't need a lot of people around you either. And this is the other thing that happens. And I'm a person who can actually live, I've been married many years, and I have wonderful kids and a wonderful wife, but I can live by myself if I have to. I've done that, and I think part of that comes back to the retention. You're able to have strength, inner strength, because you're keeping your nutrients. It makes perfect sense. You're keeping all those vital energy things. You're not just giving away to other people or the bed sheets or whatever it might be. You're not giving those things away. You're holding on to those things. And that's such a crucial type of thing when it comes to your well-being. It took me many, many years to realize it. And that's kind of why I'm passing it on to you guys. But I think going back to what Francisco mentioned, the idea that you want to go ahead and really focus on, keeping your energy. Because if you're keeping your energy, then you're becoming stronger, You're focusing more on the things that you want to achieve, not just women all the time. You're focusing on trying to kind of get things done. And as a result of that, you're also blocking out a lot of other things and not worrying about those things anymore. And so they don't become important in your life. You know, all that noise around you, all the things around you become less and less. I think the amount of TV that I watch now, and the amount of internet, and the amount of anything, sports, things like that, I mean, they're great to do entertainment-wise, but they're not that important to me any longer. And I think part of that is because of retention. Once you're learning things, you actually prioritize what's important and what's not. And I think when it comes to the whole idea of noise, yes, you know, you're going to have a lot of noise. Noise is just sounds around you. You know, you can be tempted by any kind of sounds. Get people to talk with you. You know, you get the TV on, you get the radio on, whatever it might be, and you have to kind of block it out. It's almost like being in a room where you're surrounded by noise all the time. It can be irritating, it can be frustrating, it can be very tempting to get involved with that. But what you got to do is really learn how to focus on the things that you need to get done, because that's going to help you then kind of create the scenario you need to create to become an effective type of person. And this is why I think we talk about Francisco's statement, because he's really mentioning that as you're on retention more, your circle, your importance level changes, and how you look at people change. You look at people more like, okay, how can I work with this person to achieve a win-win so they win and I win as well? And how can I also then be able to kind of control as much as possible? You can't control everything. Obviously, the Lord is in more control. You can't control everything, but what you can do is you can kind of control the situation as best you can by controlling yourself. If you can control yourself, then you got everything beat. But it takes time, and it took me many years. So really, it's a matter of that. The streak is a good barometer of how to start. So whether you take 1 week, 2 weeks, 30 days, 90 days, a lot of times they say 90 days is a good start, and you're able to build that habit, then it becomes a lifestyle change. And now as a lifestyle change, by default, you're eliminating a lot of that noise. Now you may not see it that way, but just examine yourself as you go through the day and you're on a long streak. Just examine how much you get caught up in other things besides what you want to do. You're really focusing on the things that you want to get done, whether it's making money, whether it's a business deal, whether it's sports, whatever it might be. And so you're not going to waste a lot of time on things that are not helping that. Yeah, you might get entertainment once in a while, but you're not going to go out drinking, because you realize your body is becoming more fine-tuned, and that's what I experienced. And so you're not going to put stuff in your body that's going to end up hurting, yourself. And I experienced this all the way through the pandemic and everything. You don't want to do that. But your attitude is totally different. Now, if you were releasing all the time, you would probably succumb to a lot of this stuff, You would have the idea that, what difference does it make? I'm not feeling good. And you wouldn't feel as good. And I think this is the other thing that happens, is that when you're healthy and you're healthy and you feel healthy, well then, you're more motivated to continue to make this a temple to the Lord, your body, and making it focus on, taking care of it and making sure that it's doing the things that you want it to do. So I think that it's a very astute statement. So a shout out to Francisco, and thank you to David, a bunch of people. I have to go back and look and giving thanks to people who've commented. I'll do that tomorrow more, but I wanted to kind of get this out there today because it kind of, I guess, came to my heart when I was talking to the Lord and trying to talk about something that is important. And Francisco brings up that good point that being successful, you have to eliminate the noise. You have to get away from the noise that's stopping you from doing things. And a lot of that is coming internally first. That's what's making you stop first. And I think the best way to do that, of course, is to focus on keeping everything, your nutrients inside of you, keeping that self-control, that self-discipline. and then as a result of that, being able to transfer that behavior to other things you do. And so this is all about self-control, self-discipline. But it starts with retention, because you want to keep the God-given nutrients and the vitamins and things that you have inside of you. Why would you throw that away? Unless you're going to create another human being, which is God's purposes, in my opinion. So if that's not going to happen, then why are you throwing all that away? But it's a question that I couldn't answer for 47 years, so I'm not going to expect someone else to answer. And I am the last person to making judgments on anybody else. But I do think, learning from experiences like from old timers like myself, you can actually kind of take out some of this information and maybe perhaps use it so that you don't have to wait 47 years to kind of change your life around. So I'm very blessed that God has kind of led me to this all this time, but I had to go through a lot of pains, going through a lot of this discussion ideas to kind of figure a lot of these ideas out. So I'm happy I'm having the chance to actually go ahead and put it out there. Years ago we didn't have YouTube and things like that, so you couldn't really put ideas out unless I wrote books, and that takes a little bit longer time. So this is a good way to kind of get things out, to people see things and have a chance to respond and have an interaction. So again, thank you guys for everything. Francisco, wonderful comment. I wanted to make sure that I took care of this before I focused on some of the other topics that you guys are greatly contributing, but this one was one that kind of hit me, that I wanted to kind of talk about immediately. So all right, everyone, have a great day, and keep battling on. And just remember, guys, that the key thing here is that this is a lifestyle change. Even if you have a problem and somehow you release or something happens, which is going to happen. It happened to me thousands of times. But what you want to do is remember, this is a lifestyle change. You are making a change for the future. You're making a change in your life, and that's really important. So as you continue doing that, just keep that in mind, that you may fall down, but it's who gets back up, who can deal with the failure, whatever you want to look at, a challenge you have. And that's a matter of just keeping strong and keeping faith and realizing that you're on the right path, that all the other 99% of the people don't have a clue about it. And they won't admit this, or they won't even talk about it, because it's something that they just don't understand. And I think it's important to kind of go through that and realize that as well. So God bless each and every one of you guys. Hope you guys have a great day. And until next time, my friends, battle on!